What's up everyone, and welcome back to the Bold and the Beautiful 24 official channel. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button today. Let's get started. Nick suggests a boat adventure on the bridge. Let's get started talking about Ridge Forrester, Brooke Logan, and Nick Marone getaway, because the Bold and the Beautiful reveal is all about the adventure in Italy. The arrival of Brooke Logan. Let's begin with Brooke and Ridge. Along with Eric Forrester and others, both are traveling for business in Italy. Even though they are there for business, Brooke is hoping to get Ridge back. Although Taylor Hayes has requested Nick to keep an eye on Taylor, she will not be accompanying Ridge. She made the threat to accompany Nick when Ridge informed his former wife that he is committed to Taylor. The greeting of Donna Logan and Eric Forrester together, Bridge travel through the water on a fancy boat. Brooke's decision to accompany Nick must result in something. Either they separate, or Ridge ensures that Nick does not arrive on time. Brooke and Ridge, on the other hand, make their way to the location where they are all staying by boat. Up on a cliff, Eric and Donna Logan wave down at them. Eric yells for them to come on up. The appeal of Nick Marone. Nick arrives in Italy, according to the Bold and the Beautiful, but he is not with Brooke. I wonder if the seaman was somehow late to the plane, and Brooke had no choice but to go with Ridge and the others. Nick is seen begging a man on the street in the preview clip. Nick asserts that he requires a boat. "Let the fun begin," Nick says later in the preview clip. The modeling of Finnegan by Steffi Forrester. Additionally, there are a few shots of models strutting their stuff. I can't be sure, but in one scene, a model looks like Steffi Forrester Finnegan. Nick's possession of an engagement ring box is also hinted at. Does that mean Nick will try to seal the deal with Brooke? How will Ridge handle that news? Eric has been pushing Ridge back together, but Ridge is right. This is his life and the choice he made. In any case, there should be lots of drama, especially with Brooke falling into the water. Of course, both men will probably jump in to save her, but which one will be her forever hero? A new relationship with Bridget Forrester? The fact that Bridget Forrester has been on the Bold and the Beautiful for a few weeks now is a nice surprise for viewers, considering that she hasn't been on the show in years. It will only be a matter of time before the character played by Ashley Jones rekindles her romance if she is to remain in the mix. But which fortunate man's eye will she see? Spoilers for the next episode of Bold and Beautiful can be found below. Will Bridget win Finn over? When there is a medical emergency on the Bold and the Beautiful and the Forrester Creations crew is at the hospital, Bridget Forrester frequently makes sporadic appearances, often to the surprise of viewers. Since last month, Bridget has been spending a lot of time with Doctor and has been involved in Liam Spencer's cancer story. John Finnegan in the workplace. There have been hints for some time that Finn and Bridget might get romantically involved while they are working together. It seems more likely that Finn will fall in love with Bridget now that we are aware that his marriage is in jeopardy. He won't have to look far for a shoulder to cry on if Steffi Forrester dumps Finn. Bridget wants a lover right now. There aren't many single men in the B&B dating pool. Could Bridget fall for her patient Liam while she investigates his miraculous recovery if she does not fall for Finn? Another popular social media theory is that Bridget might attract Bill Spencer, who is tragically single and is in need of companionship. Liam Spencer is currently in a hospital bed in the Spencer mansion, so it wouldn't be crazy if Bridget starts spending time at Bill's house. Could Bridget's medical visits become more social? Who would complement Bridget Forrester well? Even Brooke Logan couldn't have foreseen Nick Marone's romantic tidal wave when he followed her to Italy and made a daring and shocking proposal to her aboard a sun-drenched luxury boat. Although Nick Marone had always been a man of passion, unpredictability, and spontaneous choices, Brooke Logan couldn't have foreseen the romantic tidal wave heading her way. The entire Forrester entourage arrived in Italy for a high-stakes fashion event in glorious European fashion, bringing with them a whirlwind of old flames, tangled loyalties, and the kind of heartbreaking drama that only this show could deliver. Brooke had come with the intention of winning Ridge Forrester back, her so-called destiny, and yet the universe seemed to have different plans as Nick Marone, the rugged sea captain and one of her greatest past loves, re-emerged with a sparkle in his eye and a ring in his pocket. With the wind in their hair and decades of complicated history hanging between them like invisible mist, Brooke and Ridge set out on an extravagant boat across the sparkling waters of the Italian coast. Donna Logan and Eric Forrester stood atop a scenic cliff and watched as the boat pulled into the harbor. They waved happily, almost as though they were wishing the legendary romance between Ridge and Brooke a happy arrival. However, Nick Marone's story began to spread throughout town just as the conditions appeared to be set for a possible reconciliation. He begged a local boat owner to rent him a vessel because he was alone and agitated. "I require a boat," Nick demanded, sweat beading on his brow, determination blazing in his eyes. He missed the plane because of a terrible mistake, or Ridge may have sabotaged his departure altogether, forcing Brooke to travel alone with him. Either way, Nick wasn't giving up. Now not. Not after everything. Not when he was ready to ask the one woman who ever truly challenged his heart to marry him again. While Ridge and Brooke were standing on the boat's deck, Brooke gave Ridge a nostalgic smile. Ridge, trying to suppress his jealousy over Nick's growing presence in their orbit, reminded her that they were here for business, though his eyes lingered too long on her lips, and his fingers occasionally brushed hers accidentally. Even though she was pleased, Brooke remained cautious. She remembered the chaos, the deceptions, the heartbreak. Yet she also remembered the kisses, the promises, and the endless declarations that they were destined. But was fate still sufficient? Was it true? Or just another loop in the never-ending cycle she and Ridge had been trapped in for decades? She couldn't help but feel a sense of unease as they disembarked and ascended the winding cliffside to the villa. Back in town, Nick finally secured a boat and sped across the glistening waves with one goal in mind: to stop pretending, to stop wondering, and to lay it all on the line for Brooke Logan. "Let the fun begin," he said with a grin, gripping the wheel and revving the engine, the little black box containing an engagement ring tucked securely in his jacket pocket. Flashbacks of their past flooded his mind: the laughter, the passion, the vulnerability. They had been electric, unpredictable, messy, and real. He knew Ridge would always loom large in Brooke's heart, but he believed, perhaps foolishly, that there was still a part of her that burned for something different. Something thrillingly raw. Something like him. Steffi Forrester Finnegan took center stage at a surprise Forrester runway showcase near the villa, escalating the excitement elsewhere. Her fierce expression and killer curves as she walked down the cobblestone piazza that had been turned into a runway rekindled the press's interest in the Forrester Creations' legacy of beauty and elegance. Ridge beamed with pride. Eric clapped in approval. But somewhere in the crowd, Bridget Forrester looked distracted. Ever since Liam Spencer's miraculous tumor case, she and Dr. John Finnegan had been thrown together in an intense medical collaboration. And while her focus had been clinical, there was an undeniable tension building, one neither of them fully acknowledged but both were beginning to feel. Finn, whose marriage to Steffi had been strained by secrecy and mistrust, found himself relying more and more on Bridget. She listened without judgment. She recognized the significance of medical duty. The most important thing was that she did not hold his previous errors against him. As they reviewed case files in the shade of a nearby cafe, sipping espresso and stealing glances, it became clear that if his marriage to Steffi faltered again, Bridget might be more than just a confidant. In the meantime, rumors began to spread about Nick's true motivation in Italy. He wasn't just there to look after Taylor Hayes, who had suspiciously backed out of the trip last minute, but rather to fight for Brooke in a way Ridge never would. Ridge, always confident that Brooke would return to him, had underestimated Nick's resolve. And he definitely didn't know that Nick was about to propose on a boat, the same way he had once whisked Brooke away years ago, hoping for a different kind of ending. When Brooke, left for a brief moment alone at the villa's overlook, returned to the water in need of air, the tension reached its breaking point. She heard her name reverberating through the water as she leaned over the railing, lost in thought. Brooke. She turned and saw a boat speeding toward the dock. At the helm Nick Marone, eyes burning with intent. He jumped off the boat before it fully stopped, rushed up the dock, and dropped to one knee right there under the Tuscan sun. Nick held out the ring and said, "I don't want to waste another day, Brooke. Even though we've both made mistakes, I still see you when I close my eyes. Bring me back to the sea. Take mine. Wed me." Brooke remained still. Her throat was holding her breath. Behind her, Ridge watched from a distance, his expression unreadable. She looked down at Nick, then back at Ridge, and for a moment, the entire world held its breath. She had always longed for Ridge's love, but Nick had given her something different: unfiltered passion, freedom, and stability in his own chaotic way. Could she trade destiny for something real? Something here and now?